well, they're changing my batteries.
Great.
I do want to put out there, first of all, I want to start the actual talk, so we get me mic'd so that we get it, because we want to have a recording of this, because I might actually say something interesting for a change. There we go. Welcome to the Wei Chi Healing Center and Shop. For those of you who were not here when I did Who is What is Wei Chi, I realized that when I was here, I kept on saying, welcome to the Wei Chi Center. I kept on dropping healing, and I realized that because when they wrote the board up here, they forgot to write healing here. And I kept on saying, welcome to the Wei Chi Center. Healing Center and Shop. And everybody kind of looked and said, this is your place. You don't know what the name of it is? So I was like, yeah. Then I realized it was because of that. So, welcome to the Wei Chi Healing Center and Shop's grand opening. We have been having, this is our third day. We on Friday night had a drumming circle where we had a man named Will. I don't even know Will's last name, that's horrible. He just always goes by Will. We had Will in, he led people on a journey, he helped them find their power animal, gave them some intuitive messages. Will be back at our April event, and I want everybody to mark this in the book. We are going to be having an April event on the 16th and 17th of April, which is Patriots Day weekend. We are looking to do drumming again on Friday night, and then Saturday, Sunday, we'll have another whole lineup of speakers and topics and different things to educate, to empower, to challenge, to inspire, to motivate, to cover the microphone with here at the Center and Shop. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, we are now down that we still have people offering services. We have somebody doing, we have a spirit artist doing spirit drawings. We have a Wei Chi intuitive tarot healer. We have somebody else doing straight intuitive readings. We also have people to get weight that want to do Wei Chi clinic treatments. We also have somebody that is doing a little NLP. I don't know what to call them. The little sessions that you're doing.
I don't know the little sessions that I'm doing.
Okay, the little sessions he's doing. If you have any questions, ask the man in the pink sweater.
You should.
Pros. Am I missing anything else that we're offering right now? Because I know we've had practitioners come in and out. Chair massage is gone. You used your chairs for massage. What? Oh. So anyways, so we have that going on. We have a talk on neuro-linguistic programming. I'm going to end the day with a guided meditation. So just to let you know. The Wei Chi Healing Center and Shop came as an extension and a play out of the whole thing about from the entity, the energy, the shaman, the Tibetan shaman that we know as Wei Chi. I want to start, before I start to go into the sharper things, and for those of you who don't know, I'm Dr. Kevin. I am your host. And I left a little bit because I did Who and What is Wei Chi earlier today. And that will be a talk that we continue to do at every center, at every event. We're going to have 4 events a year, so people can become familiar with this very wise, yet wry, sometimes humorous, and pointed individual, as many of my students will tell you, who helps people go through this, which is the process of empowering one to heal oneself. Earlier I reminded that healing is simply to make whole. It is to step into a place of wholeness, into being the most that you are here to be. Some of you heard my earlier talk, you're getting a little bit of a repeat, but it's kind of like watching the show when they did a little bit of the last show, so you know this thing. And that in this process, originally was the Wei Chi system of natural healing that first started getting brought back out in 1995. And it was looking at an energy work system that had the elements of things such as we would think of it as hands-on healing, intuitive messaging, and good basic counseling, coaching skills, actually, in our languaging today. That's how we would describe them, where you set a goal, hold the energy, help the people develop tools and skills. Also left over from earlier, tools and skills in a self-applying way, so that you are empowering that person to move forward in their life. Empowering the power to be uniquely who you are without apology. We always want to go back and define what do we mean by healing and empowering, and the key word of process, because it's always process, no quick fixes. Which is why earlier no magic wands! So I can't tap you on the head and make you whole. I can tap you hard enough to make a hole, depending on how hard your head is. I'm sure that your head would outlast my wand, Matt. I was here from IPM Nation, a radio station that actually syndicates some of my radio shows, as well as puts out a plethora of other shows, and he has joined us today to share our Wei Chi message with the message of the IPM Nation world. Hey, Al, come on in. So, when Wei Chi started bringing that through and talking about healing as a process and seeing it as a larger way, he touched things which today, tiny bits of it are called today Reiki, which is the laying on of the hands, but it was a much more extensive system. That it is a system that we talk about where the client must participate within the healing. The client must accept that they have created and co-created the world that they're in. Because if you do not accept that you have created and co-created the world you are in, you cannot change it. If you do not own it, you cannot do anything with it. So often, in the more traditional methods, we will let people either express their feelings and express them 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 through 3 trips to Bermuda, 2 Mercedes-Benz, and your therapist's retirement. Or we will tell you to go out and do things, but we won't necessarily help you hold the energy of why emotionally you can't do them. So we have counseling. Then somewhere along the way, coaching came up, but you talk to a coach, and they're like, well, yeah, but I'm not doing that emotional crap stuff. I'm just here to be practical. And counselor said, well, I'm not here to do anything practical with you. I'm just here to help you, let that emotional stuff go. Well, they don't let you really go. They let you bring it up, and then and then they wash it back to you. You bring it up, and they wash it back. And they bring it up. Oh, yeah, beautiful. So, in the Wei Chi, we are always interacting with the client, making the client more self-aware, making them take more responsibility, no matter what it is. If you see anything that is being offered that has come out of the Wei Chi Center that has Wei Chi on it, it means that these people have studied with me, and if they're doing it right, which means I don't have to go and kill them, until I kill them afterwards, they're doing a process of empowering you, giving you tools, helping you develop skill sets, helping you move forward and take more responsibility about your life, because in that you can make core changes that will last. And that has to be done in a process. Once it got to the point that the Wei Chi system of natural healing in of itself was starting to really function and starting to grow and was well seated and it was time to move on, the chakra system, as well as the divination system of Tarot, both came under what we call the Wei Chi eye. How do we look at these and how do we see them? Now, the interesting thing is, how many people here are familiar in general with the term chakras? You know what I mean when I say chakra? When we talk about chakra, we usually talk about root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, brow, crown. I know that I have 2 people here to do the discussion. They've studied something called pranic healing, and they throw a couple extra chakras in there. You know, just want to confuse things. So there's a little bit more definition there. The chakra systems are tied to sounds, to colors, to systems. They are a Sanskrit word which means spinning wheel of energy. And we look at the chakras as something that we have always been traditionally taught, that we bring energy in through the back and we put it out through the front. We receive through the back in the chakras and we project energy out. That these chakras kind of tie us into the greater world in some way. Has anything I said been surprising to anybody? Does it fit in your general idiot's guide to chakras? Okay, because I've got a fair amount to cover in a short period of time with what I'm going to cover. So, also means I need to keep the clocks of where I can see it. 3 days later, and I'll still be talking. And so, when we look at that, and I first came across chakras, 30 years ago. Had to have been 30 years ago. The first time I started touching that energy of chakras and what they were. And there was this, they go clockwise, they go counterclockwise. So either they're open or they're closed. If they're open, it's good. If they're closed, it's bad. That was the kind of traditional thinking back in the 70s. And so when these chakras, when you see them, you want to make them open up. And there are these very clear, okay? We have the root chakra, and let's hear from the audience. What color is it, guys? You chakra experts, what color is that root chakra? Red. Go red. Sacral. Orange. Go orange. Solar plexus. Go yellow. Heart.
Green.
Throat. Third eye. Crown chakra. White. White. Indigo. Some people will say silver. Okay. And I don't mean this literally, but figuratively. Some good, basic, primary colors, right? Just one color, one chakra. One correct energy, one incorrect energy. It's male or it's female. It is attached to issues of grounding or rooting or creativity or sexuality or will. It has a very simple meaning. It has a very simple color. It has a very simple direction. It has a very simple way that it functions. And if you're going to go in for chakras, and I'm going to pick on this young lady here. Remind me of your name again. I know you.
Addie.
Addie. I meet so many people. I'm going to pick on Addie for a second. Can I pick you for a second? Okay. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to be a traditional chakra here. I'm going to look at her chakra, and I'm going to go, oh, that solar plexus, that looks a little brownish. So we're going to put some yellow energy in, and it's not really opened up the way that it should be, and it's not going clockwise. And so we're going to go in there, and we're going to put some yellow in, and we're going to turn it around, and we're going to make you, and you're going to come out of here, and you're going to have so much will you don't know what to do with it. Right? I'm going to give you a trip to the moon. But not really. You don't need energy in that chakra.
Well, alignment is always nice.
Alignment.
Alignment is always nice. The flow is always nice.
Yeah.
And I think I have a lot of that going on.
And if your chakra is too yellow, or too open, or too excessive, you're going to say, oh, you're jaundiced here. Let me suck some of that yellow out of you. Oh, it's going the wrong way. Let's turn the ship's direction. And you got so much will chakra going out of there that if we put you down in the Middle East, our problems would be over because you'd flow double place. And we're done, and you're healed, and chakras has been a nice little primary color ABC walk through. And we all know that the human soul development, humanity in of itself, and all that we have gone through and all that we are going through as the soul evolves is that simple, that uncomplicated, that easy, right? There can't be more than that. That's the power tool. When I first started doing chakra healing, and it was actually before I got, I jokingly call it Wei Chi's-ized, I was actually started to do chakra healing, and I'm a lifetime intuitive. I started doing psychic readings in the 70s. I've done my whole life, since I could talk and walk. I was spitting out things that drove people crazy. Basically because I shouldn't know those things. You know, kids say the darndest thing. Could have followed me with a camera through my whole life. Art Linkletter would have doubled his money just keeping the camera on me with stuff that came out of my mouth. Of course, I probably would have got killed before the age of 6, but that's okay. And so when I started going in with chakras, and I love Shirley MacLaine. Everybody, who's seen the Inner Workout? Inner Workout. It came out on video. It was back in the day of video cassettes. So there may be some of them who don't remember videos, but this is before DVDs. And she did this really nice thing called an inner workout on it. I still have it. I used to give my clients to watch it, and there was a meditative, and she had some beautiful imagery. This thing has got to be 20, 25 years old, this tape she did. And I walked through, and there was the music, the right musical note, the right musical scale, and things like this, and I loved it. But the funny thing is, when I started doing chakra healing as an extension of the healing work I was doing before, again, I got Wei Chi's-ized, one of the first things I went to was like, well, wait a second. maybe that chakra is supposed to have prana in it. Maybe it needs prana in it. Maybe it's supposed to be, maybe they need it to be closed right now. Maybe right now, that's what it's supposed to be. I don't know if I'm supposed to be making it a certain one shade fits all yellow for your solar plexus. That doesn't make sense to me. And when I talk to that chakra, because I have this bad habit, I talk to organs, chakras. The only thing I tend to not try to talk to is people. They aggravate me. But all the rest of it's fine. And so back then, I started going through this thing of, I was starting to do these chakra healings, and it was interesting. It was in Florida at the time. I was on my traveling circuit as I was traveling around the country and doing healing work all over in different groups. And in Florida, this little part of the panhandle of Florida, I just became known as a chakra healer. I could go there anytime I want, and I could have more chakra healings all week long. They didn't think of me as an intuitive. They didn't think, if I went to Natick, Mass, I could go in and I could do days on end. The people there at the shop that was like, could not get enough of my past life work. All they wanted was past life. This is what I did. I could go in and do 9 hours of back-to-back past life work. I went to Florida. I did all of this chakra healing. I went over here. They knew of me as an intuitive. And all they wanted to do was the psychic readings. Over here, there was actually a place where I used to do intuitive massage. Okay? When I didn't need to have a license to be a massage therapist. Because I talked to the body and know where to push and where to rub and what to do. Probably a sign of my disreputable past. Anyways, and so I had these sections, and the chakra section showed up down in Florida in the Panhandle. And as I started doing the chakra healing, I'm going, okay, well, wait a second, maybe it needs to go counterclockwise. Maybe I need to talk to it and find out where it is, why it's there, what put it there. Then I need to have them fix what's there, and when they fix it, it will go back to what it needs to be. But I'm not seeing it as the bright yellow. I'm seeing it this way. I'm seeing it that way. I'm having a different experience. Then I got Wei Chi's-ized. Left a lot of my work, except for my Wei Chi and my work as a catalyst and a coach and counselor. This thing I created, the catalyst work I did. And the past lives went away. Eventually the straight psychic stuff went away. The chakra healings went away. And then chakra healings came back up a few years ago after I'd been Wei Chi's-ized. And I keep on pointing to this because this is the model of what the chakra system looks like from the eyes of Wei Chi. So you keep on seeing me pointing to this. A little different than what you'll find in Wheels of Light. And when I went back at that time, I got another little piece of information, which was there are journeys through the chakras we take, and life is an endless set of journeys where we go up through the whole chakra system, go back down, go back up again, and each one gives us a layer. And there is actually information and things that we learn and need to work with that are in each layer that is about the development and the the development of the person, the experiences they're having, and who they are, and that there are actually 7 layers in each chakra. And in each chakra, that which we call a chakra, are all colors. And so when you're seeing a color other than the color that we've been programmed to think is the only healthy color for a chakra, we are seeing an aspect of the chakra that is standing out to us in a way that is trying to get our attention to, say, a place where we did not get something we needed at some development point. A place in which, as it built on itself, and we were doing the building blocks going up, that one of the building blocks was not solid, and so it created a hole, a weakness, a place where things would fall in, where people would get stuck into repetitive patterns or thoughts or belief systems. And we could put all of the yellow into that solar. We could take the sun out of the sky and ram it into their solar plexus, and it was not going to change the fact that they didn't get something they needed, and we had to figure out what it was they needed, and that needed to be shifted. And just throwing yellow energy in was not going to do it. Forcing it to go clockwise when maybe it needed to go counterclockwise because it was a survival mechanism, because there was a key point of development which registers and creates a healthy chakra system which interacts and speaks with itself, that allows the person to do what they are here to do in this lifetime, that we have to go back and we have to find and put back into place that healthy thread. How many people here are chiropractic fans? Okay. I've done a stint with chiropractic. I love chiropractic exactly for what I see that it does, my view of the world, which is it realigns the bones in the spine. If you keep on realigning them though, and somebody comes to me and says, oh, I love my I love my chiropractic. I've been getting, I go 3 times a week, I've been going for 10 years. I go, stop! Because if these alignments are not taking, there is something else wrong. And I've always been fascinated by Rolfing. How many people know what Rolfing is? Rolfing is working with the myofascia, which actually is what holds the bones in place, like the putty. And then you have massage muscle. So if you want to have a healthy skeletal, neuromuscular system going on, you need to do massage, Rolfing, and chiropractic. Because if you're only doing chiropractic, you keep on putting something into place that the thing that was there to hold it has been misshapen and doesn't, and it's going to keep on falling out of place. And sooner or later, if you think about something like if you had, you had a door and it kept on, like, you're going to start to do damage. Those hinges are going to get bigger because they're not tight. So you want to go in and you want to do that. Now I use that because that's something we've all clearly, okay, yeah, that does. That kind of makes sense. I want to adjust, but if it keeps on going out, it means I have to look at the holding system, and then I also have to look at the muscles, because if there's something wrong with the muscles, then they don't have the strength to hold it, and it's there, and the putty, or the myofascia is not there to hold it. I need to do 3 things. Not just one. Bring that back to the chakra system. If somebody comes to me, and they love chakra healing because they feel good for a couple of days after they get a chakra healing, but they're back the next week and the same chakra needs to get healed, guess what? There was no healing. There was a Band-Aid, there was a temporary fix, there was something that was pushed into place, and it didn't stay there because we did not create around it what needed to be created to support it to be in place. Because what happens is we have remarkable survival skills. So we will shift and adjust our memories, our emotions, our belief systems, the way we see each other, the way that we see the world. I love getting when I do family work. I love to sit there, and I've done as many as 3 generations in my office, grandparents, parents, and children, and have them each share a joint experience. You go, were you in the same room? Are you in the same family? Do you have different parents? Do you have doppelgangers that step in? Because you just explained something here that makes me want to call social service and says, your parents should have never raised you and should be in jail. You're over here, and I'm saying, your child needs to be put on heavy-duty medication and should be in a mental health facility for the rest of their life, or they're going to be Hannibal Lecter. And you over here, okay, you were Miss Gulch in The Wizard of Oz. Oh, no, you were on M. But this one thought you were Miss Gulch. This one thought you were Dorothy. This one thought you were Toto. We need to look at that. Okay? All of the different experiences, all the different perspectives. Because we are so good at survival skills, because we are so good, and sometimes people will say to me, how can I, as a child, have such a clear memory of a moment in time when a parent or an adult or a teacher said something, and they can look at me 20 years later and go, honey, what are you talking about? I never said that to you. And the person's sitting there going, oh my God, I cried for a week. I thought I almost killed myself over that. That was so horrible. Honey, you're having delusions. That never happened. Why couldn't the parent remember that? Or remember that something along that lines happened? Because we will also reinvent memories to support the reality of who we think we are. If we cannot see ourselves as a horrible person, and a situation tells us we would be a horrible person if we did that, instead of saying it was a horrible situation in which I made bad choices, if we align ourselves with that situation, we will then have to rewrite it so it fits into our image of who we are. If we don't have the strength to be the bad guy, knowing that being the bad guy isn't really being the bad guy, but sometimes being the good guy looks like being the bad guy, if we can't understand that we did the best we could with where we were in the moment, then we have to rewrite that to fit our image of ourselves. What we cannot rewrite is the impacted head in one of those layers of the chakras. We can't rewrite what the impression was on the cellular memory or the cellular memory. And that's one of the terms that really started coming out a lot as Wei Qi started talking about his view of what the chakra system looks like. He started talking about the cellular memory versus the cellular memory. What the soul came to do for experiences versus the genetic material it chose to be born of, which has a memory out of its own. There is a physical DNA memory that interacts with a soul DNA memory that come together to create the reality we call a lifetime. He referred to the chakra system that this is our spiritual DNA. That these are wisdom processing centers. That in the back, we have coming in all of our soul contracts, the things we came in to bring into balance, to experience, to grow. Okay, and in Wei Qi, we don't do good and bad karma. We don't do that it's okay for somebody to treat you like a piece of shit, because in the last lifetime you treated them like a piece of shit, so this is the price you pay. We don't do pay pricing here, except unless you're stealing from the store and then there's a picture over there that says, this is our version of karma and I'm holding a gun. But that's beside the point. Come on, it was Western Dress Up Day in Colorado Springs. I get to play too. And all my students know too well that I get to play. And so that these come in almost like the back of a jellyfish, feeding us threads. What agreements do I have? What do I need to get from other people? What did I come to give to other people? What are the past life gifts that I came in to access? What are the experiences that I came to come in? What are the lessons that I didn't learn before the way I needed to learn them that I have come in to try to learn them this way? Or I need to experience that experience from a different perspective. These come in the back. On the front, they are not spinning wheels of energy, they are spirals. They are spirals that hold all of the different colors, all of the different energies, all of these things that are coming out, that are going out into the world to lead us to where we agreed to be, to draw to us who we agreed to interact with, to look like a beacon of energy and light that comes in, and that all colors exist in all of them, and at different times have places when they are the right color to be in the right place, and that we have to understand that when we are truly trying to do chakra work, healing, chakra healing, to make whole, we have to look at what pieces did not get put into place, at what time, at what experience, and then what do we need to do? And we have to assess, and this as our mapping tool helps us assess that what did that do in a emotional, physical, spiritual, intellectual level to us. How did it alter us? What did we not have? And how did we adjust? So to truly do a chakra healing, not only do you find where it fell out or what happened, but you have to find out, we start to look at finding out, so it created this set of thought processes that created this emotional system that now functions. So we have to change the thought processes, which then supported can create the way we feel differently. We can feel differently about things. Thought, intellect, understanding comes to a child before emotional complexity, complex feelings. The very simple feelings that a child has are in that basic hot, cold, scared, very simple way. As the child starts to develop an intellectual system that determines what is good and what is bad, a child that experiences death and a funeral the first time, if they experience it in a tribe that celebrates death, party time, they have finished their journey, they are with us now on the other side, we may miss them here, and it'll be sad we don't see them, but this is a celebration of who they are, we keep them alive. Maybe you're in some tribes and you dissect the body and eat it. You physically take in part of the body, as that's how you keep them going. Now some of us are going, oh, that's abhorrent. No, in that tribe it's not. That's their belief. That's a sacred act. Were they taking their energy? What do? We lift up a mug and give them a toast. Or do they come from a tribe that fears death, that cries and wails, and people's lives are over because they're gone, and I'll never be the same, and they go through all of this stuff. And is that the experience of death we give to that child? Because that child, as they intellectually try to understand what death is, that's the feeling they will have about it, unless it is consciously and interactively changed throughout their life. For the rest of their life, death will make them afraid, or make them sad but happy, and will make them ready to oh, I'm going to really miss Grandma, but she's dancing with the angels, and I know she's looking over me, and if I'm having a tough time at school, I can ask Grammy to give me help now because she's up there, and she can help me from up there. And I'm sorry she's not going to make me cookies anymore, but Mommy promises she'd make me cookies instead. Or, I can't go to school for 10 days and my whole life is a mess and my mother is hysterical and I'm so afraid because she's so upset that she can't function. She forgot to feed me for 3 days in a row, and so did everybody else, because they were so busy supporting my mother, who was falling down because she couldn't handle the fact that her mother died, because in that tribe, there is no embracing of death. But all of those feelings that child has about death have nothing to do with they developed an emotional body around death. They developed an intellectual concept around death, and that emotional body got created and supported it. So if we want to shift somebody's emotions, we have to shift their thought processes around what did they learn and how did they learn how to deal with these things. And what does it mean? And if you tell a child, I was helping a child a couple of months ago dealing with the fact of their first death, and their grandmother was going to die, and the grandmother was dying, and she was going to die any day now, and he wasn't sure how to take it, and he was struggling. He was about 9 years old, and he wasn't struggling because part of him was this intuitive little child and kind of had this feeling that he wanted to go with, that Grammy was kind of still going to be around and be there, but his father was, had so many unresolved issues with his mother, was just so panicked about his mother was going to die. And so he kept on thinking, I must be doing something wrong because I'm not upset enough because Grammy's going to die, because he had this because he was old enough to start to recognize, and was intuitive enough to recognize that there was mixed messages, and he wasn't sure what to do, and stuff like this. And so I taught him this little technique that I learned a long time ago, or I should say technique, but message that my father, Papa, gave me, which basically, when I said to him, is there somebody that your mom or dad or somebody have ever told you about, like a great-grandmother or a great-grandfather, somebody that died, who you never met? Yeah, Dad's great. He was a pilot. He fought in World War I. You didn't talk about him? Yeah, I told all the kids. Great-grandfather, he was a pilot. He shot down in World War I. Great. Did he tell you anything else about him? Yeah, I think we talked a little bit because the kid was fascinated about the great-grandfather that flew planes in World War I. And so he could tell me several things. And I said, he's still alive, right? What do you mean he's still alive? He's still alive. He's alive because you're still talking about him, because you still keep him alive. Because there's, 20 other kids in your class who all know about your great-grandfather who was a pilot. And so they stay alive as long as we stay alive and remember them. They stay alive as long as we stay alive and remember them and share them and talk about them. My grandmother's been dead since 1968. But I have told so many people about the stories and the things that my grandmother did and how she helped me. And I know there are people all over. And I know that long after I'm gone, that my Grammy will still be alive. Because people don't talk about her. So they only go away when we forget them. When the last person has forgotten them, then that's when maybe they go away. So, tell me something about your grandmother that you're going to run around and tell everybody about when she's dead, so you can keep her alive. I bet people are going to keep you alive a long time after. probably. There's a lot out there that are really going to want to try to forget me too as soon as possible. And he laughed. But the intellect shapes the complex emotions. When we look at the chakra system and we say, and I'm giving you some conceptual ideas, because I'm going to finish telling you how this story came out, or this work of art, which the main artist who helped take my vision and worked with me and then took it out of my hands, two of them are in the room. Anita and Lynette both really took the project on, as I was saying, this is kind of what I want to do, and I'm kind of sticking it in here and sticking it. Stop, slapping my hand. Just describe it, we'll take care of it.
It's crazy.
But I also want you to understand the conceptual difference of the power of the chakra systems versus what we talk about them in a very elementary school way. And I believe this information has come forward now because we're ready to move on to high school and college and what we can do with the chakra system and understand the 7 layers of each chakra. That there are actually 7 different shades that show us where they're healthy and unhealthy within each one. That there are interconnections, and that as a spiritual DNA, we have 2 communication systems. One that comes down and one that goes up in the center and outside. That weave the information together, and as we bring in the wisdom of a lifetime, it goes into this wisdom processing center, which then, when we allow it to be wisdom, goes to all of the stuff that we have in all of our past lives that we came in with. And that wisdom comes together, and when we allow it, it comes back out in how we live our lives. One can only assess wisdom by how it changes the way in which you live in the world. You can talk all you want about wisdom. If you are not living it, walking it, being it, you ain't got it. But usually, we're talking it, and talking it, and talking it, and talking it because we're trying to figure out how to be it. So I don't put anybody down that's talking about it as long as they don't forget along the way that they talk about it so much because they haven't really got it yet. Because when you be it, you don't have to talk about it, you be it. And then other people start to talk about you and how wise you are. And then people have been talking about how wise I am for years, but they usually assign it to a body part. Which one, I'm not sure, but they always assign it to a body part for some reason. So, I had been getting this mixed energy, and I tried to teach a chakra class before Wei Chi stepped in and started giving me some of this additional information, some of these additional views. And I started to roll that out about what had already come to me. And so now we're talking about, my first thing with chakras was probably in 1992, and then I revisited them in 97, 98. And then I revisited them again in about 2004, 2005. And each time I go up again, I'm going and saying, and I'd go back and I would read Wheels of Light, and I would read some of the other Hands of Light, and yeah, Hands of Light, Wheels of Light. There's another chakra book that I go on, and I would look at it and say, I'm not finding what I'm seeing. I'm not finding what I'm hearing. I'm not finding what I'm knowing. It just isn't. And so I did what I always do, which I said, well, then I need to teach it, because when I teach it, then it's going to start downloading to me. Whatever I'm missing is going to show up. And the first teaching one didn't quite go. And then I realized I had to Wei Chi's it. So then I took my practitioner students, or students that were studying with me in the Wei Chi Natural System Healing, and I said, how many of you want to do a chakra root? I said, and I don't know what it's going to look like. Didn't I warn you guys? Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to be bringing this information down. I know I have some really ideas. I said, I think my original was that I was going to try to do it over 2 weekends originally. I was like, probably 4 days will be enough, because I know I have a couple of days of material that I've already, along the years, kept track of. Along with this thing that we have 4 healer chakras in the back that are 4 of the levels that we step into when we are really here in the world being fully divine, being in our really divine energy. And so we have the four healer chakras in the back. And I said, and I got that. I got that in '92. I was sitting there teaching a psychic development class, and I said, oh, and something comes in, what can you tell me about chakras? I'm like, oh, I can tell you there are these 4 healer chakras, and these are the colors, and this is what they do, and this is what they're about, da 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 da. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, isn't that cool? Because it's the first time I heard it too. It's like, I hope somebody's taking notes, because I have to take all this information and figure out how to teach it. That was in '92. I know it because I was teaching with Dara. Some of you know Dara, my early, this is, so 92, 93, this comes popping out of my mouth, and I don't think I know what to do with the information until 2010. Because the whole time, other pieces would fall in place, I'd go away, fall in place. So this last summer I said, okay, I got to do something for the chakra commission. It's starting to drive me crazy. 4 days, 2 weekends, that should be enough. One of my students said, okay, so that means we need to double the time. Because if you say it's going to only take 4 days, you're going to take at least 8. Because once you start, all this other stuff's going to come into it. And I said, they'll be pretty easy days.
It took us 3 months to recuperate.
And then I went in, and I actually went down, and we did the first one at your house, right? We went down to one of my students' house on the South Shore, Lynette, the one who's doing spirit drawings this weekend and did belly dancing. Is going to be teaching a belly dancing class here, guys, along with a movie meditation class. So, and I went down there, and interestingly, one of the things I did was I went down there, and I started getting all the rest of the downloads. And this started appearing in my head. And then I got pushed that I had to study the concept of spirals within the universe, spirals within energy, because there were things that they needed me to put in there. And they needed to do this, and they needed to do that, and I started going into that altered space where my students started pushing me around, and they didn't want to let me go because they were afraid I'd wander off and they'd never find me. Because I was kind of like, okay, come on, Kevin, come this way, it's okay. I'd be like hitting a wall, and like, no, Kevin, there's a wall there, come on this way, it's okay. And I can't remember who I said it to. It might have been Katie, I'm not sure. If it was one of you, let me know, because I wasn't all there. But I said, I'm getting ready to start teaching for the first time on Saturday morning, and all this stuff's coming down, I'm writing all those notes like this, and I said, I'm just prepared, I'm just afraid that I haven't prepared enough to keep you guys busy for a whole weekend. Was that Kate? Was it one of you, or was that Katie?
I think more than one of us heard that.
Did more than one of you heard that? Because I do distinctly remember Katie at one point kind of looking at me.
Like crazy.
Yeah, like I was really crazy. And I was like, I said, I just hope, I hope I prepared enough notes, because the next weekend I want to cover that. So now we're looking at 1 weekend, 2 weekends, 1 3-day weekend, another weekend, and we're going to do our 5th weekend next month. The days ran 7 to 9 hours a day, at least, of information I brought down about chakras that I have been teaching and interacting, including creating a chakra healing system, which will go into a manual, which will be teachable and replicatable, on how to identify them, recognize them, see what they are, understand them, and take them in on a whole different level. And I'm hoping that this weekend is going to be the last weekend, as I know you guys are hoping this weekend is going to this weekend coming up to the next weekend, because I got to finalize it before I can start teaching it again, so I can kind of teach it out there. And there were a lot of basic spiritual, universal concepts that got wound into that teaching. Some of that stuff, some of these students that are practitioner level, the ones that are running the center, that are out there, that are in practice now, they had over 1,000 hours of training with me on the Wei Chi system of natural healing. They didn't come in as bumpkins off the street that I had to explain energy to. They came in, and we ended the day sometimes because somebody would suddenly go, I am going to start crying and hurt myself if you don't shut up.
Oh, my head's going to blow right up the top.
My head is going to blow up.
Oh, we haven't eaten for 10 hours.
Oh, yeah, food.
Food.
Oh,
Cows, graves, there's food on the table. I have a flow going.
more realistically, with a bottle of wine.
Yeah. You have all this on videotape, which is really scary. I have another chance to look at any of it.
Yeah, that's true.
We videotaped all of this, sometimes with 2 cameras going.
Yeah.
And this was much simpler when it started. This kept on growing over the weekend too, over the 2 or 3 weekends as it would build, it would connect, stuff like this. One of the journeys of the Wei Chi chakras is the journey of humanity. It's the journey of recognizing all we can be and all that we've come from. It's understanding the layers and the complexities that evolve us and allow us to be these wonderfully frustrating and irritating creatures that we are. and our interactions and our connections. Wei Qi, we have foundation, creation, actualization, humanization and divination, communication, activation, actualization. This is the actualization chakra. And then we have the crown. Do we have an 8th chakra up there? No. We just have all of this energy that's pouring down to us. And our commandment in any lifetime, whether we do it through Wei Qi chakras or through our own path or natural system of healing, or however we do it, came down to just one fairly simple command. What it truly means to be human. Hu is an ancient word for God. The journey for any human to become fully themselves and become fully human is to bring God to earth and man to God to the heavens. We are grounded in two places, the point from which we came, in energy and source, and the place that holds us down in the core of the earth. The energies come up and they go down. In an endless, infinite flow, like endless infinity wheels. Up and down, up and down. And it's a journey that once you start taking consciously, you will take the whole rest of your life. When we went through all the layers, some of what we reach, if you did it, and did it, and did it, what was that, 144 or 174 years old?
I think 174.
174 years. For all the cycles. And some people crunch those cycles because that's the path they're here to do. Others will never reach any of all the full cycles. But it is this flow of energy. These healer chakras here show us what we are here to bring as our greatest God self to the earth by which ones are activated. So, a little different look at chakras. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed the talk.
Thank you so much.
Also, so you know, we do have a Wei Qi 1 System of Natural Healing course starting at the end of June. That's 3 weekends, 2-day training, so it's 6 days to become an apprentice and start the path of seeing if Wei Qi is what you want. And you actually, it's a certificate program, and you become a Wei Qi level 1. And it gives you a single tool to put on your tool belt to work with. Well, there's a lot of tools within that single thing that we offer you. And then that next level is practitioner. And if anybody has any questions about Wei Qi or what it looks like or how it evolves, please feel free to ask me or any of my senior practitioners. Susan, Lynette, Kim in the back, and Katie had to leave. Those are my senior graduating practitioners that have graduated. Some of them are coming on to be teachers. So if you're going to go up and ask them about Wei Qi, stick me around the corner so I can eavesdrop and hear what they say. And stick around. In 15 minutes, we got Mike Berry coming on, and he's going to show you how he's going to program you neuro-linguistically. So you will be forever his slave.
All right. Thanks. Ready for the Inquisition?
Okay.
The interview? Is that what I said? Would you like to be interviewed? Good a time as any? Absolutely. Are we on a break? So we are...
Thanks.
Great, well, come back, hang out with us.
Yes, my husband Richard.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. That was
You'll enjoy it.
I have one
fabulous.
question. I talked in the
Fabulous.
for 2 hours.
insight into the chakras. It's beautiful. You're going to come out with
The book?
yeah.
I'm going to come out with a book. I have to find a transcriptionist to actually watch all of this video because, again,
Oh, really? Okay, so
it's about 100 hours of video now of me teaching this stuff. And it's all original content, so.
So do you do
Now, what-
a
what
class
do you
just
park on
on the chakras? In other words, to kind of
Yeah.
attune people to them?
What I'm gonna do is-
This
yeah.
is really, really lovely, just as a piece of work.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna break it out in a way so I can teach, like, for people that don't want to actually learn how to be chakra healers, but would like this view of chakras, I'll figure out, what I gotta figure out is how many hours to do it justice without
Yeah.
people feeling too overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And also give them enough basics that if they want to go on and start to do the weekends, because they really want to learn how to do
Nice.
the healing. And I haven't created that format because I haven't even finished teaching the course for the first time.
Right, exactly. You're still downloading and synthesizing. The whole alchemy of it is something, isn't it? When you ask and it starts to come through you, it's like, oh my God, oh my God.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I understand. But that's wonderful. It was a joy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, so you got some accolades there.
Hey,
Yes.
did you get it on tape? Can I get a?
Actually, we did, yes.
That's good like that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Maybe when you least expect it.
So we are here at the Wei Chi Healing Center and Shop on day 2 of the grand opening, January 30th, and or
Day 2.5.
day 2.5, yes. So so we just heard your great talk, your second talk today on Wei Chi. And what do you want us to know about the center that maybe we haven't already heard today? We've talked to a number of people here, a number of practitioners. But what is it that's most important to you for people to know about the center here in Haverhill? As you have a mouthful of cash you have, yes.
That along with that goal of wanting to offer a place to move forward that process of empowering one to heal oneself that you keep on hearing me go back to, and who and what is Wei Chi, and then again in the Wei Chi chakras, is this concept of this is created to be a supportive community that people can come into and be able to do their version of that kind of work. And there is a requirement. I am not a believer that because somebody says it's new age or alternative means it's necessarily good. There's a lot of stuff out there I don't agree with.
Right.
I don't have to agree with it. It's not my job. But it is my job, a job that I've been holding on to now for 16 years, to protect the integrity of this work that we call Wei Chi. And if it's going to happen at the Wei Chi Center, then I feel like I am obligated to my commitments that there are things that are being offered here that will empower people and help people to heal, whether it's through educating them on something that they can use. We're going to have somebody coming in starting in April that's going to start teaching some stuff on Ayurvedic. Okay? Ayurvedic may not be for everybody, but it's an informational tool that for some people it will help them.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing like we have an herbalist comes in. It's like, well, how are herbs empowering? The knowledge of herbs empower you of how you can pick and choose and create preventative health care plans and maintenance health plans, even when you have illnesses or genetic predispositions, that there are herbs and supplements and things you can do very naturally to help you. That's very empowering to me.
Right.
I'm not giving it to somebody else. So it isn't like we're just going to do the Wei Chi system of natural healing here. We're not going to just do Wei Chi chakra. This is a community. The ticket to get into the community is that you want to play in the community and you understand some of the basic rules.
Sure.
Again, that it's empowering. Second is we don't do spiritual competition.
What do you mean by that?
There are some people out there that feel like I have the way, the only way, the one way, and so they can all tell you how they're going to help you, but really I'm the only one that's going to help you, and so then you come see me. Or, well, I can't come and, it's like you interviewed somebody that was a hypnotherapist here that's associated with the center that
Mike
lives
Berry,
close
yeah.
here. Mike Berry.
Yeah.
You do hypnotherapy.
Yes.
If Matt, you came to me and said, I'd like to offer a class down there on hypnotherapy, or I'd like to put something out, I'd say fine. If Mike came to me, and he wouldn't, because we had the conversation before I invited him to join part of the community, if he came and said, I am your only hypnotherapist, or I'm leaving, I'd be like, well, don't let the door hit you anywhere on the way out.
Right.
Because I'm not going to do onlys.
Right. Right.
That's part of what I'm talking about.
Right.
Everybody has different things. You know, I keep on telling my students, because sometimes my students, being students, are like, well, why would anyone come to us if you're here? Well, because I'm not the right solution for everybody.
Right.
You know?
Sure.
I laugh. I always had this one woman that came to do work with me, and when the first day she sat down, she goes, it only took me about 9 months and 3 other people. And I said, 9 months and 3 other people? She goes, yep, when you started working with my friend, she mentioned her friend's name, and she goes, and I met you once briefly somewhere, and you started working with her, and I saw what you were doing with her. It's like, I need to go with that, I need to go with him, but I need to work up to it. I don't know if I'm strong enough. And she goes, so it took me 9 months and 3 other people I worked with that I really decided, okay, I'm really wasting my money. They're really not helping me before I was strong enough to come and sit in the chair across from Dr. Kevin.
Right.
And she goes, so I guess I'm really ready to do the work now.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
But in the other hand, Susan is one of my practitioners. I believe you talked to Susan.
Yes, we did.
She meets all the criteria. She's done the work. She's very good. But Susan is a woman that is in her 60s. Mm-hmm. She has some background in traditional medicine. She went through a healing crisis of her own and found out where traditional medicine, traditional, therapeutic cares failed her. She had a journey, and that journey makes her uniquely qualified to help somebody who has some resonance to that journey that is going to get something from Susan that they can't get from me, because I haven't had those experiences.
Right.
I move the world very differently. And that's why when somebody comes in, if somebody says to me, oh, well, I'm really drawn to work with Susan. Great, go with Susan. If they say, I really think I'm supposed to work with you, Dr. Kevin, that's okay. And Susan has to understand it's not because I'm the teacher or this. It's because there's something in me that's going to be able to language or draw on or work with this person.
Sure.
But spiritual competition does get created in this community. I have crossed people who will be like, well, I'm not going to, if this person's there, or if they, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that. And, it's very sad. There were a couple of people that, talked about doing some work here through the center, and I kind of explained that and did that. And they did some work at some other place, and basically, somebody else said, kind of, you pick and choose. You can't work at both places. I would never say that to anybody.
Right. Yeah.
I would be like, what? What's that about?
Sure. Sure.
But it also told me that if they wanted to align themselves with somebody who did spiritual competition, that it must mean that in them they're somehow supporting it.
Right.
Because I will tell you right now, if any place said to me, oh, well, if you're going to work there, then you can't work here, I'd say, well, I'm not working here.
Right.
I don't care who you are.
Right.
Because that's not how I function in the world.
Right.
That's not my sandbox. And I'm not going to crawl in your sandbox, because when I crawl into your sandbox, I end up rolling around in your sand. Mm-hmm. No matter how much I think I'm not going to, the minute I give into you and let you determine where and how I offer my healing services,
Right.
then I have your sand on me.
Right. Yeah.
So we don't do spiritual competition here. Mm-hmm. We're looking to open, to a number of different people and modalities. The other thing is that we are bringing together into existence a more solidified version of the Wei Chi School of Natural Healing. Before it's been, I taught the system of natural healing, and I've taught lots of other stuff. I have over 40 different, one-off 2-hour classes,
Sure.
or 2-part class, whatever, reincarnation, dream interpretation. A lot of these I have out on DVD now.
Right.
But I've never pushed it into more of like a curriculum. And now I'm taking the Wei Chi stuff and all the additional information I'm coming on. I'm also been inviting people to come in. Like I said, or in the talk, I've Wei Chi'ized I used to teach an intuitive tarot class. And tarot can be a beautiful support tool. And I love tarot decks and the art and the beauty and the symbology. Now that I can use them as a healing tool, I've taken them to a level that more fits into what I want out of this community. Mm-hmm. This is not a place where I want to draw the energy of sideshow psychics.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
If you wear a turban because you belong, because you're Hindi and it's part of your religious belief system, wear a turban. But if you're wearing a turban because you think you'll get more readings, not here. And You know, we will know that either I am dead in my grave the day you walk up and there's a flashing neon palm in the window with the way.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
And I'm sure that there may be some of your listeners who are saying, well, that doesn't sound very spiritual. Tough. I don't really care. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
I am who I am. I don't apologize for it. You don't have to agree with my train. You don't have to hop on it. You don't have to roll on my tracks. But at least you got a pretty good idea of what the tracks look like.
Exactly.
And that's the important thing.
Right.
It goes back to the whole thing about empowerment. To be uniquely who you are without apology.
Yes.
So I have been accused. You know, I almost told this story up here, but the opportunity kind of missed by it when I was talking about how intellect develops before emotions, complex emotions, and this sort of stuff. And oftentimes people will say, I can't help how I feel. Yes, you can. You can't help it in this moment, but in the long term you can help it.
Right.
We have to look at what created the reality for you to feel that way.
Exactly.
Okay? And then we have to shift that reality.
Right.
And then it's a layered process. We put this intellect in, and then we have these emotions, and then it creates these experiences, and then we develop another intellect, and then we go. So it's like philo. It isn't all like, oh, okay, I have a whole intellectual body in mind, and then I create a whole emotional body on top of it.
Right.
It's very, very layered and interactive. And then, of course, we have little things like spirit and body, which they just get in the way, too. But that whole of people have an expectation of what it means to be supportive or to be healing or stuff like this. And I remember years ago doing a reading for somebody back when I was still doing more of the straight, I was evolving this that I do now, but I was still doing readings at shops. And somebody, they came in and they wanted me, it kind of fell into that kind of category of, kind of, is my boyfriend coming back? It was kind of
Right.
like one of these.
Right.
And that was an important issue for that person. And of course, me, the nature of the person, the nature of the beast that I am, where I take it is kind of pick up some energy on the boyfriend, on the relationship, on this girl, kind of like, okay. And he drank a lot, yeah, but he was nice when he was sober, but that wasn't often. He was mean to you, but only when he was drunk, but that was most of the time. I'm getting that, da-da-da-da. And then I said, and he put you in the hospital once, didn't he? Well, but it was an accident. I said, the question isn't if he's coming back, the question is, why do you want him?
Right. Right.
Why do you think that this is the only man, a man who is so disrespectful, who put you in the hospital?
Right.
What do you want? Oh, I love him. No, you hate yourself.
Right.
There's some part of you that's got to feel like you deserve this punishment.
Exactly.
Because if this is what you see as love, hon, we got to work on it.
Yeah.
But in talking to her, finally not letting her get away with the stuff, she hopped up from the table, and we had these little screens. She knocked like one of the screens down. She was up, I don't know how you can consider yourself a healer when you obviously have no heart.
Wow.
I walked out. And there was a part of it, that comment hurt at first.
Sure.
But then I really looked at it and I was like, no, I have enough heart to be honest with you and nobody else in your life does.
Exactly.
That's love.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love comes with honesty. And I want you listeners to hear this, and I think you've heard me say this on the Norm Show, I'm not sure, because, Norm's not the only show I do, and I have a tendency to be talking a lot. I don't know why. It's so tough because I'm so shy and introverted.
Somehow you just,
You hide it very
manage
well.
to push it out of you when you need to, yes.
Yes. You hide it well.
It's like a good meal the next day.
Yeah.
Push it right out of you. But I just, my line of thought just went out the door. Stop and bring it back. You're going to make a serious point here, and there haven't been too many in this conversation. Don't let one go. What were you talking about? Cue me.
Oh, you started to say you thought you had said something on the TV show with Norm about it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back a little further.
Truth,
Okay.
club.
Yep.
Yes. Truth, to me, can be represented by like a club or a branch or a thing. You can hand truth to somebody, and they can use it as a walking stick in which they're to help them as they're navigating through a rough patch. Or you can hit them with it like a club. It's still truth. It doesn't change the fact that what was in your hand was truth, but it's how you, the person, is delivering it. And so we want to be truthful with people, and honesty is important. But sometimes because we have all of this thing, of these illusions of what supportive means. Supportive is, don't tell me the truth, just agree with me.
Right.
Supportive is, just tell me how right I am and how wrong they are.
Yeah.
Truth is, let me get into my stuff and not call me on it. Because if you call me on it, you're mean.
Right.
You're not understanding. You have no compassion. You have no heart. No. It means they have a backbone. When they don't call on
Right.
you, it means they have no backbone.
Right.
They don't stand up and go, honey, I love you, but why are you doing this to yourself? Can you take a little responsibility here? Can you kind of look at like what you did to get here? Do you kind of think that the fact that the person hit you might have had to do with the fact that you threw something at them like a frying pan and it was self-defense? And we can throw frying pans in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
They can be with mean, cruel words. They can be jabbing somebody on their triggers. There's all sorts of ways that we can throw a frying pan. But we throw a frying pan, and then they have the audacity to grab our wrists and shake it, and they're abusing us. They're the bad guy.
Yep.
Well, okay. I'm still listening. So we have a very interesting way that we do this, that we turn these things around, that we present these things.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that we're...
Yeah, it's just a little after 5:30 now, so.
We're going to let him go.
Okay.
And if you feel like there's more you want to hear me say, get me after the next break.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Kevin. All right, and I'm gonna pause this while we wait for him.
It first started around 1975. Two guys at Berkeley got together. Richard Vanna was a psychology major and a mathematician. And John Grinder was a linguistic major. Actually, he was a professor of linguistics, the study of language at Berkeley. He was the youngest professor in history of America at the time. They wanted to find out why certain people were so good at what they did. They went into a few fields. They approached Virginia Satir, who was the preeminent family therapist at that time. They approached Fritz Perls, who was a great psychologist. He invented Gestalt therapy, which was, depending who you talk to, simply Gestalt therapy is taking personal responsibility for where you are in life, for the easiest, simplest definition. And they approached Milton Erickson, who was the premier hypnotist of the 20th century. They wanted to know why these people were so far head and shoulders above everyone else in their field. So the study of linguistics, they noticed that they talked differently than other people did in their fields. And they wanted to know how they could model that behavior, how they could translate that to other people. Over the years, they made great discoveries. Very quickly, discovered all these techniques. NLP has certain presuppositions, pre-tenets, I guess, tenets, if you would, of what they believe. Some is respect for other people's model of the world. Nobody sees the world as you do. Your beliefs and fears, your lens to the world is different than everyone else's. So I have to respect where somebody is in their viewpoint and try to see it like that. There's a story, the guy who does the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. He tells a story about being on an airplane, and this guy gets on with 5 kids, and they're running amok. They're totally out of control. And nobody seems to be doing anything. And he's like, somebody has to say something. He walks up to the father, and says, the kids are really out of control. And the hangdog expression says, yeah, I know. He goes, we just came from the hospital, their mom just died. It's like, oh, okay, that changed everything. You can understand why we do it. So when somebody comes to a certain position, you have to know why they're like that. People are not their behaviors. You might meet somebody on a day that, maybe they're not at their best. The same thing, just like the first one, to respect their model of the world. We accept the behavior, we accept the person rather, and we try to change the behavior. Right? One that people struggle with, of course, everyone is doing the best with what they have at that time. I myself struggled with this for a long time, thinking about situations in my life, is that the best they could do for me at the time? And it was, because I look back and think, was I the best employee, husband, father, son that I could have been on that day? And the answer has to be yes. Some days are better than others. Always try and remember that people give you, and also it's not an NLP supposition, but people can't give you what they don't have. It took me a long time to learn that. So in all my dealings with people, I look for somebody to validate me, or say, I can't understand they could be so callous, or they simply can't give you what they don't have. Supposition is the map is not the territory. One of the large sayings in NLP. But what you see is really not the truth. You know what I mean? The map isn't territory, it's just a map. Okay. It's just your version of reality. It said that there is nobody can experience reality because of our limiting beliefs, because of the way we've been brought up, what we see in the world. It just doesn't happen. You're in charge of your mind, and therefore your results. There are no victims in NLP. You are responsible for it every single day. Everything that happens to you, you need to, we talk a big word this weekend is empowering, to be able to empower yourself. People have all the resources they need to achieve their desired outcomes. Nobody is shortchanged. We're not talking about the disabled or, challenged people. Everyone has those resources. You have it in them. It's your responsibility to cultivate them and to get to that place. All procedures in NLP should result in wholeness. The body and the mind. Don't know what wholeness means to everybody. Everybody has the word spirituality. Everybody has their own definition of the word spirituality. Wholeness for you might be something different from somebody else. But, wholeness is just to have a zest for life, a curiosity for life, to be okay with waking up every day. There is only feedback. There is no failure. Another one that can be hard to swallow, like the space shuttle exploding, that's more than feedback. So there's an accountability there, but it's not meant in that sense. Let's just take a look at the situation. Nobody ever does anything wrong. Let's see what we can do better next time. There's a law of requisite variety. The system of the person with the most flexibility of behavior will control the system. I heard a pastor say recently that the only tool you have is a hammer. Eventually, everything's going to start to look like a nail. So I believe that you can't have just one answer, one technique for everything. I try more and more in my hypnosis practice to bring in NLP techniques. They truly seem to seamlessly merge together to help one another. And all procedures are designed to increase choice. So I was asking earlier what NLP is. It's about giving people more choices, the bottom line. They're giving you healthier choices than the ones that you might have now. One of the biggest words in NLP is to reframe something. And it's to change the way you look at things, that's all. If you change the size of the frame, the picture gets different. From a little picture to a bigger picture. We can reframe things, like if somebody told you have a week to accomplish something in work, you'd say, okay, if I can take my time, I can buy my time. And then they come up and you said, I have an hour to do it. That changes everything. The whole system changes. That's reframing. The owner, the president of IBM at one point, there was a new employee. They brought this girl into him. She had just cost IBM over $1 million in a mistake. She was summoned to his office. She was, I assume, here to be fired. He says, no, I've already invested over $1 million in your education. You know, you're the girl I want to keep on board. So there's just a form of him reframing. Milton Erickson, this guy, hypnotist, he had been, this guy came in, he was at wit's end with his daughter. He couldn't. He said, my daughter simply won't listen to me. She has a mind of her own. She's very headstrong and stubborn. My wife and I, can't take it anymore. What should we do? And Emery said, isn't it great to know that she'll be able to stand on her own 2 feet once she leaves? So it's, there's always a story about the kid walking in the field with his parents, and the father is walking. He's trying to avoid all the horse manure, and he's getting frustrated. And the girl's dancing around, all happy. And he's like, why are you so happy? Daddy, where's all the ponies? So he's looking for something else, and she's on a totally different level. She's just reframing it and looking for the good in it. We talk the difference between content and context and reframing it. Like the content is like, if your boss is looking over your shoulder and you're thinking, you get paranoid, or you think, why is he doing that? And something might be, he doesn't know how to approach you. He doesn't know how to be of help. When we bring something in context, it's like if somebody, you see yourself as being pushy, as an example, you're always focusing on what's going to go wrong. So instead of thinking, I'm too pushy, isn't it nice that I'm aggressive and that I can avoid potential problems in the future? So it's just a way of, if you want to call that turn that smile upside down sort of mentality. That might be a simple way of putting it. We have anchors in NLP. An anchor is simply a response to a stimulus, the way we react to something. If you're watching TV and there's a commercial for potato chips on, most people want to have a potato chip. These companies are designed to make you want their product. Okay, it's what elicits a response in us, and they're not always to our benefit. So one of the things that we have to realize is, what brings that on in us. There's another way to use an anchor. Do something here. Okay. You want him?
Sure.
Okay. That's fine. Want to join us? Or
What are we
she's
doing?
typing? Just hold that in the hand.
All right.
Get to know it. Okay. Get to know that. Okay. And I want you to think of something that you struggle with. Just an issue, some people with, patience, tolerance, confidence. You don't need to say it out loud. Think about something you would like to work on, some shortcoming, if you would, okay? And just think about, hold your rock, think about that for a minute. Okay. I want you to close your eyes and think about a time where you didn't struggle with that. Say there was a time you were truly confident. And say a time you were truly patient or loving. And it had to be something recent. Okay? Think about that for a minute. A recent time when you were successful at something that you're not normally successful with, or you struggle with at times. Just nod your head if you're at that place where you have a vision, you visualize yourself being successful at that. Just be a small success, it doesn't matter. Think of you doing well with that at some point. Does everybody have some? Now, in that picture in your mind, imagine that it's a little bit brighter. Imagine if there's any noise, if that's a little louder. Imagine the emotions. I want you to feel those emotions that you feel. When you feel good about that, you now double those emotions. Right? Those intensify those emotions. You now hear your success, and you see your success, and you feel your success. And you know that you're capable of it, and you know that you can do that. Now I'd like you to open your eyes and look at your stone. And know that any time you need to access that, you simply look at that stone. It's like a simple diversion. You carry that stone with you. You always know that you have had that success, that you can divert that, when we have that ripple. We never have to, walk in that fear again. NLP is full of little victories like that. A simple little thing is if you have something that's bothering you lately, okay? And these are just the, abridged versions of things. Imagine a problem, get your hand and just put it right in your face. It's like you're cross-eyed right now, okay? And think of that problem, okay? And it's right there, it's right in your face, right in your face, okay? You really can't get rid of it. It's been bugging you lately. Now just get you a couple fingers and tap it away a little. Okay, just tap it again. Keep tapping. Tap it up. Doesn't seem so big anymore, seems to go away. Tap it up. Tap as far as it can go, as far as you can reach. Okay, just like that. Doesn't seem that important to me. You just let that problem go. Okay. There's a lot of, a million techniques on it. I'd like to do something, man, could you come up and we'll do something? Is that again, remember? Okay. I'm sorry, I want to talk about something. This is good to go. NLP has a theory, hypnosis has a theory about everyone has a representational system. Okay, you see things kinesthetically with your body, you see things with your eyes, or you hear things, you have an auditory and visual or kinesthetic system. So one of the things in NLP that they teach you is to watch body language, watch people's eyes. I'll tell people, it's almost like a lie detector course. Whenever we, like if you were driving on the way here, can you imagine yourself in your car driving? Did you go to any stoplights? Were there any red lights? Do you remember that? Can you see yourself at that stoplight? Like that? Most people, and most people are right-handed also, when you remember something, you look up. When you recall something, you look to the left. When you construct something, you look to the right. It's very true in most people. I feel so cool, I have a handout, okay? So, yeah, I don't really get to do handouts much, so, oh, yeah, it's me, all right. Okay. This is, I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yep.
This tells you how we react to things. And pretty much, I'll explain it. There are some variations of, they'll say that people are left-handed, or some people just don't process things the same. But generally, when you look to your left, you're recalling something. If you're recalling emotions, what's that thing with the saying? There's an old saying, you look downright sad, okay? And you'll look at it, it's obviously not, as far as I know, I'm not sure the origin of it. But you're looking like that, and you're like, okay, you're feeling sad. If they talk about like maybe somebody who passed away and you hear their voice, to the left, you're recalling. When you're talking about, like, you're at the stoplight, did you see a blue and white polka dotted elephant at the stoplight? Can you imagine it? Okay. Usually, look to your right. If you're right-handed. We're all very, universal, very predictable like that. So one of the tenets of NLP is, especially with hypnosis, and try and blend it, is to watch people's eyes. But it's funny. I've worked with people, and I've explained this to them. So all they do is stare straight ahead.
Right.
What are you, jerk? It takes all the fun out of it. But actually, one of the things that when people do recall, a lot of people do glaze their eyes over and stare straight ahead. And that's also something to look out for. Here's another thing. We lead and we pace in NLP. In anything like your representational system also, when you're talking to somebody, people tend to use a certain system of words. If you hear two people talking, so we're trained to listen to other people's conversations and truly listen more to what somebody's saying to you. So somebody will be talking, husband and wife, and she'll say, I don't think that you see my point. And he'll go, no, I don't think I hear what you're saying. And he'll say, she'll keep using visual cues. I don't think you see it. I don't think you're looking at my side of this. Say, no, I don't think I hear that. If you listen to this conversation, it almost sounds like they're trying to antagonize each other, because they just have their own systems, okay? And they can't help it. So one of the things is to get on that level. Any relationship you have, you're talking about mirroring and pacing people, it seems helpful if you get into an encounter with somebody and they're just 100 miles an hour and you're just flying around and they just can't stop. I mean, I got to tell you about this, you got to do it. It's actually really helpful to match that pace of them. It makes them feel at home. It does that. And then at one point, I know what you mean. And immediately, that slows them down. And they'll go, yeah, because they think that somebody's listening to them and they feel good about it for a minute. And it's okay to be matched. The way you sit, I will mirror the way somebody sits. When I'm talking to them, it brings a rapport. Some people say this is a form of manipulation, but it's not. It depends, I guess, what your motives are, like anything else in life, So, just a few techniques. Amanda's very graciously agreed to work on something here. And this is a technique called chunking up. Okay, you familiar with this? No? Okay. You have that all-knowing look.
No, yeah, you
Yeah.
made me laugh
I'm the
jumping up.
smartest girl in the class.
No.
Yeah? Okay. Right down. Every behavior at its core has a positive intention. Okay? No matter what you do, what behavior, what act you do, at its core has a positive intention for you. It feels it's protecting you, it's helping you, it's doing something for you. Okay? Sometimes these behaviors, when we have them, a part of you wants to do it. And a part of you wants nothing to do it. Okay, so we'll call that, we choose, we work with a part. Okay, so I say we're just going to work with a part of you. That's what it means. Part of you likes it, wants it, part of you doesn't. Okay? So earlier, we discussed having a lack of confidence to work with that. That feeling of less than, feeling of I can't do it. Okay? So managers agreed to work with that. So when and where and with whom do you have this behavior? When is it most prevalent? Is it with the person, is it in work, is it in a social situation?
Some of the behavior is just like repeating thought like pattern. I'm good at faking it pretty much.
Sure.
Rerun that.
So it's, no certain situation, it's just a pretty constant, lack of confidence.
Yeah, it comes out every now and then.
Okay. Now if you would take a moment, close your eyes, just make sure to relax. Turn within for a minute. I'd like you to visualize, if you can, an instance, a situation where that occurred. Think about that. As you're there, just relive the moment and begin to notice how you feel inside when that happens. Some people, sometimes imagine pictures, they feel the sounds, their feelings. You'll find something that you identify with that behavior. See that one? Okay. Since you didn't consciously choose this, it's as if a part of you did. You can begin to sense where that part of you is. Okay? You can see, feel, and notice. Do you feel that most strongly in a certain part of your body? Okay, great. Okay. Gently invite that part of you into your awareness. So know that it's there, and you say, okay, I know you're here. I'm aware of it. Okay. If you like, a lot of people find it helpful. You identified it and you're aware of it. Just put your hands up. You know that it's there. Okay. wants you to receive and welcome this part of you, because it's there to help you, even though it doesn't seem to be that way. It does want to help you. It has at its core a positive intention. Okay? Even though you don't know what the purpose of this is, it is there to help you. Okay? Now thank that part of you. Just silently, for a minute, take a minute, and thank it for being here, because it has some deeply positive purpose for you. Just thank that for always having been there for you. Now ask that part, what do you want? Ask me what it wants. After you notice, if you notice any sound or image, voice, anything like that that occurs, does it respond to you? What does that want? Why is it in you? What is it for you?
Warm love.
Once we notice it wants love. If you have love, it's your intended outcome for you. Once it's effective, once it wants to go up. If you have love as your intended outcome, okay, fully and completely, okay, what do you want? With having that, it's even more important than wanting to be loved. Okay, well, it's okay. We'll do something. Anything will come up. I can't answer it.
It's just stillness.
You want peace? And having peace as an intended outcome, fully and completely. What do you want having that is even more important than peace. Having patience is an intended outcome. Fully and completely. What do you want through having that is even more important than peace. Having joy. Fully and completely as a result of everything, much more important than that.
Let's big one, joy.
Okay. Water down joy. Okay. Having happiness is an intended outcome. Fully and completely. What do you want through having that is even more important.
Purpose.
Having purpose as an intended outcome. Fully and completely. What's more important than that?
Happiness with everyone, everything, myself included. Only animals are protected.
Having oneness. The word?
Yeah.
Oneness. Okay. Having oneness as an intended outcome. Fully and completely. What's more important than oneness? It doesn't have to be me. Oneness. Somehow our parts of it somehow get the idea that in order to experience a core state of being, when you have oneness, you are a core state of being. Okay? Somehow we get the idea that we need to go through a set of intended outcomes, that we need to have, peace, joy, happiness, purpose, in just linear fashion to get to oneness. Okay? This doesn't really work well, unfortunately, to have to go through these things. I'll be happy when I get this, and that. Okay? Because a core state of being isn't something I earn or, get to, deserve, step into, rather, it's just something we step into, what we have. I can decide to be at one with everything. I can decide to be joyful. Okay? Well, when we start, when you just have oneness as a beginning now, as a way of being in the world, how does already having oneness make things different?
Moving up beyond fears and being less than, not being whole, no judgment.
Okay. How does already having oneness as a way of being transform and enrich your purpose?
You're not worrying about how am I gonna afford this, how am I gonna, I recognize that there's a divine guidance. I don't have to control everything.
How does already having oneness as a way of being transform or enrich happiness?
Being able to live in the moment.
How does having oneness as a way of being transform or enrich having joy?
Because it's, more fulfilling.
How does already having oneness as a way of being transform and enrich having patience?
Again, mindfulness, being able to be where you are, just as you are.
How does already having oneness as your fourth state transform or enrich having peace?
Basically being able to see myself as just as everyone else and kind of peaceful and so.
How does having oneness, fourth state of being, transform or enrich life?
Able to love myself and others. That seems like
How does having oneness as a way of being transform or enrich feeling less than others, feeling non-confident?
well,
Transforms it well?
obviously it's non-existent, but
Okay. And that's all there is to it. Okay, now what changed?
being able to choose to feel that oneness. That
So you know that once you go to that place, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're good. Then you have that, and you trade it up for everything you want, and then you trade back down. And you're fine. So how does that feel?
Good.
Yeah. Empowering, yeah. I mean, you're the first person, I've done this to dozens of people, you're the first damn person who started off saying love as the first one. Because that's a core state of being. There's only a few core states of being: love, peace, oneness is actually one of them. So I don't mean that. You're the first, everybody always starts off with, oh, I feel, good, I feel, better. I gotta give you credit, because you threw me for a loop there. I'm like, wait a minute, if she's starting off with love, how am I gonna possibly, because most people would rather have peace than,
It was the
peace, love,
first thing
patience.
I felt, I'm like, oh my God.
I know, no, good for you,
Love,
right,
really.
exactly, yeah, but you killed me, I gotta admit. So, but I handled it well.
Yeah, good job.
I know, and then I'm like, where do I go after this?
Right. Well, but you found places to go.
Yeah.
And you find other things that are important to you, and then you came back to, and everybody, once they do this, besides you, build up to love, oneness, or peace, okay?
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, people seem to get aggravated, like, well, what's more important than that, because it seems repetitive. But, you need to answer those things. And eventually you get to, you say, some will say love, and it's, okay, well, having love is a centerpiece. What's more important than that? And just love. Okay, and eventually everybody is just going to answer the same question and say it. So, you just went about it in a different fashion. So you got from love to love. And thank you very much for participating, and hope you feel a little better. And,
I know.
it's actually 6:10, so I think I'm off the hook a little. But, I don't know, is there any questions about NLP or hypnosis or anything? You all have your rocks to go through your life with, and your smiley faces, so. I actually have, I was gifted with a large gold skeleton key. When I did, I actually asked for more confidence in my life, to go through life with more confidence. And it's funny because I can't find it the last 2 days, it's really bugging me, but I always carry around with me in my gym bag or my jacket or something. It's, I don't know if that's a crutch or if there's anything wrong with that. I know a lot of people call totems or a talisman or anything like that, but it's nice to have. Mine looks really cool, it's a gold key. And I don't have any gold keys here, but everybody seemed to like those crystals yesterday. People rubbing them on their face and stuff. Yeah, Katie was really enamored by it. So yeah, they can take it crystals and have some fun. Yeah, any questions? Anything? Fun enough? I knew you wanted to pop my balloon.
No, I was just thinking that there are no eyes looking, you said if somebody looks at you straight, you have to look up for it. What does it mean? I mean, because here they all up or down, they are
Yeah.
all on the right or left, but what if I look straight up? When I'm thinking, I don't know what I do, but I don't think that I look any,
I said,
no
some
right or no
people, yeah.
left, I just look straight eventually.
Right, so some people, this isn't cut and dried, some people won't do that. But literally like 90% of people will always look up to their left when they're recalling something.
Okay, so but if I look straight, what does it mean?
It means that's just your representation of just the way you're wired, that's all.
Okay,
Yeah. We might want to do like an alien autopsy on you.
thank you.
Yeah.
No, because it says, if you look right is visual construct, left visual remember.
Right, you recall or you construct, right?
Right,
So that's usually an easy way to find out if somebody's lying.
right.
You know, it's not foolproof, but you know, like I tell my friends with kids, and you say, your son, where were you? And he goes, is he recalling where he is, or is he making it up? You know, is he recalling or constructing? It's real simple. No, I said it's not foolproof.
If you construct your line,
If you construct, you're making it up.
right,
Yeah.
so but there is no saying what it means if I look straight up.
There is no straight up. There might be actually,
Okay,
but some people do look straight ahead. Just they'll tell with a glazed over look when they're trying to recall something. People just go, okay, yeah.
okay.
Thank you for your patience with me, forget the botany of my work. I got another one, okay.
The bottom right one says self-talk.
I wanted to know that too, thank you. Self-talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you look down to the left,
Mm-hmm.
self-talk, what is that? Like you're kind of,
You start going, what do you think you're doing? I go, you know, it's like a lack of confidence.
okay.
This is not good, what do you think I'm doing? You know, looking bottom left and right, usually I'm good.
Oh, you mean talking to yourself?
Yes.
Not good?
Yeah, usually not. I mean, it can be, it depends. Obviously, like, you know, hey, where to go? Yeah, usually the downcast isn't that great in general.
Okay.
You know, when I'm thinking, boy, I'm awesome, you know, my eyes are really up, usually up in the air. When I'm like this, and it's part of body language too, it goes hand in hand with that. When I'm looking down at the ground, broke my eye, isn't that, you know, usually up is better. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's time for our guided meditation. So.
Where can we learn more about this study?
NLP?
Yeah.
Just Google NLP. Actually,
You should save that.